Coach Sam Wentz, Field 68. Just how are you doing health wise, and how much did maybe having that incident change the way you view your future?
I feel fine. I feel good. Uh, how it changed how I view my future, I would say, I've had a couple of wake up calls, but this was probably a bigger knot on my head than even the first one. But the way that it's probably changed as much as anything is I've never been one of healthy habits, so to speak, but I've gotten a lot better. I mean, I haven't had any fried food or fast food or red meat or yellow cheese or anything in 3 months almost. And God, what a way to live! But I actually feel a lot better. Thanks.
Has it changed the way you coach at all?
I don't think it's changed the way I've coached. I think I had more energy coaching this year so far than what I had last year for sure. Sometimes I don't know that we feel that bad until we actually feel good and you see the difference. And because I was kind of just going through the motions, feeling the same way daily. So I definitely feel better than I did. It's noticeable to me.
Coach, I think the last previous 2 years you were preseason number 1, and I think this year 18, 19. I know it's early. Anything you like about this team? Anything that stands out? Do you have expectations, or have you even thought about that, or is
Well,
it
I
more?
think this team's I don't want to say better, but this team is equipped to be better than last year's team. Uh, was for sure. Nothing against last year's team, but this team's more athletic and we're a little bit deeper and we have a guy that you know on any given night, hopefully he can run bad offense and come away with points still. And we didn't have that as much last year as what I hope that we have this year. But the bottom line is we're a better team. The preseason, we knew we weren't preseason one last year when that came out. I mean, that was now. Did we play to that level? We did a couple of times. I mean, beating Duke and we had some other good performances, but that wasn't a team that could sustain it athletically, uh, uh, just because we didn't have the same bodies as maybe some years past. But whether or not we can get to that level remains to be seen this year. But it doesn't bother me at all what preseason is. It wouldn't turn me on or turn me off one way or another. But I do know this, that there's a lot of good teams out there on our schedule, and we're going to have to play to a top five, top 10 type level in order to compete with the best teams on our schedule for sure.
And obviously, late nights Friday. How are you health wise? And do you anticipate any red shirts, or is it too early?
It's you asking me about my health again?
No,
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 I'm
no, no.
joking. The only one that's been out is Jaden. Jaden's got a sore knee, but we don't think it's anything major. But he's been out off and on for about the last week, so I don't know what his availability will be later this week yet. He did not practice today, so hopefully a day off tomorrow, and then Friday maybe he'll be able to go. But we've been, knock on wood, pretty fortunate from a health standpoint. So and to answer your question about red shirts, all that stuff, I don't anticipate uh, uh, dealing with any of that until right up until the actual start of the games. I wish we had the football rules crazy because you get 4 games and they can be anytime during the season. I wish they would give us a chance to maybe get a few games, even if it's in the first half of the season, that we could actually put guys out there and see where they're at. But so if we do make the decision, it'll be a decision more than likely that it's a year long decision that we have to make before they even play their first game. So fortunately, with that though, the freshmen can play in the exhibition game, so or exhibition games. So I don't anticipate making any decisions until after our 2 exhibition games.
How has Flory improved over the course of the offseason?
He's gotten better on the perimeter. I mean, he's now I'm not so much shooting the ball from distance, but he's gotten better at that. But I'm talking about his ball handling, his playmaking. You know, playing with Hunter in many ways, I think, did help him because he saw what a good passing big looks like, and he's become a good passer and a much better screener and getting out of it, a short roll guy. Uh, uh, you know, he can make a case for being as consistent of players we've had so far.
And then what has the process been like of maybe figuring out which other front court players complement Flory best when they're also in there?
It doesn't. They're really, Henry. There really hadn't been a process. I mean, Trey White has outplayed everybody else, and so that's easy. But his skill set does complement Flory really well because he's a stretch four, where we need to have the floor spaced so people just can't clog it up. So it's, you know, Bryson's going to play in there a lot, but I actually think Trey's been, you know, one of our best performers so far.
I think there was 10 days ago, there was a 7-day stretch. I know you can't speak on names where you guys picked up like 4 committees. Is it good to get some of those? I know one's 2007 for now, but is it good to get those out of the way and so maybe you can focus on other things?
Yes, but it wouldn't matter one way or another. I mean, recruiting cyclical. It just so happens, I can't comment on the kids, but just so happens the kids that we're recruiting all had on their time schedule to make a decision before their senior year, whatever got really going. And but if it hadn't happened, it's not the end of the earth. Like a lot of people make a big deal about, well, if you get them early, you know, that makes them better, so to speak, or whatever. It doesn't. But last year we signed some guys late, and I think people were thinking, push the panic button, saying, well, are they going to get anybody? Well, maybe the guys we needed or wanted, their decision wasn't to come till later on. So with what they had planned, but in all honesty, the last, you know, 5 commits or whatever it's been. I mean, we feel pretty good about it. Going back to last year, getting Cole late, you know, that was a great pickup for us, even though it was late. So we should have some momentum in that area.
Lance, speaking of Cole, a lot of these guys have talked about how great he's looked and how much chemistry he's built with Derek Peterson and others. What have you seen from him so far? And has it kind of exceeded expectations for what you even thought when you brought him on late?
Well, I think from we thought he was good, but I didn't probably really appreciate his maturity and his commitment to trying to be good. I mean, he tries ridiculously hard every day, ridiculously hard, and you can tell him what he needs to do to get better that day or that week, whatever it is, and he'll put a conscious effort to work on that so hard till he masters that, or at least gets close. Give you an example. You know, he's a great offensive rebounder, and he hadn't been doing it. So that becomes a point of emphasis. And then the next scrimmage, he's got 24 opportunities, and he goes 24 times, even though he doesn't get the ball. But the point is, that's what he can take something that you tell him to really go work on that. So I think that's been what's impressed me the most, is just he's relentless on trying to get better, whatever that better looks like.
And I think recently Duke had a new position made for Jason Tatum, Chief Basketball Officer. Is that something you guys?
What's this?
Duke had a new position made for Jason Tatum, called Chief Basketball Officer. I think it's to help with recruiting and stuff like that.
Oh, with Duke.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you thought about something like that? And would there be a player or two in mind that, if potentially came to fruition, that you would think would be a good fit?
I don't even know how it's set up at Duke. Is he on staff? He's hurt, so he can't play this year. So therefore, he can. I mean, I don't know if
it's
it's
kind of like an advisor, situation.
so an advisor now that is probably legal to now contact recruits. Maybe I don't know how it works. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of things that are done to accelerate or manipulate the rules the way they are today. Totally legal, totally permissible. But I'll tell you this: I can't speak to Duke, and I like Jason. I recruited him and didn't get to first base with him back in the day. All right, but he's been over here to campus and everything, and I think obviously other people, a lot of other people have different ideas. You know, St. Bonaventure, bringing on Wojo last year right off the bat, and then there's this and what Steph's done at Davidson, and then you had Trey possibly doing some similar things at OU and all that stuff. That's true, but I will tell you this: if I'm not mistaken, didn't Duke have the #1 recruiting class the last 2 years before they did something like this? So would this be a nice ad? I'm sure it will be. But the bottom line is they were experiencing decent success, but before that. So I think that just because somebody does something doesn't always equate to, well, this is the surefire way to work at another program or whatever. Because we've had a lot of changes in our staff over the last 6 or 8 months, and I really think that I feel as good about where our staff is in today's industry as much as I ever have. Getting Tony to come, and Tony's one of the best, thought of to be one of the best guys there is, not only on the West Coast, but nationally and doing things. And then you bring an NBA influence like Jock in and that kind of stuff. I think that everybody's got something they can sell. Now, if we had somebody like a Jason that could be somebody that could add to what you're doing, absolutely. But I haven't thought about bringing anybody in at this time for that particular situation.
Yeah, obviously, you talked highly about Derek Peterson. Trey White talked about how he looks like a pro out there. For you, what does that mean? Like, what does that look different as a guy who's ready to go play in the NBA tomorrow versus somebody who is just a good college basketball player?
Well, you look at well, you could be a good basketball player and still be ready next year at that level. I mean, CB did it. I mean, other guys have done it. But coming in right now, I would say the maturity of his game. He's an 18-year-old that plays like a 25-year-old. I mean, not too many people when they play. When you start out doing something and you're early in your career doing something, everything seems to be in fast forward. I mean, I would think it's that way in golf. I would think it's that way in baseball. Whatever, it just things are in fast forward. For sure, a football quarterback, everything is happening too fast. With him, everything's in slow motion, and to me, that's a big compliment that he sees the game where it's not sped up.
You announced the promotion of Jeremy Case the other day. What about his role changes, if anything,
None.
with this new?
None. Jeremy was going to get promoted last spring. That was talked about. Our staff knew it. We just didn't announce it because we had some other staff changes going on and everything. So we wanted to get through everything. But yeah, Jeremy was going to be our associate head coach last spring. But it doesn't really change anything except he'll probably be more in charge of running meetings with the assistant coaches and organization and stuff like that, which he that'll be good for him to grow and everything. But as far as tiering people and that kind of stuff, don't read too much into it. But what it does do, it certainly. I mean, my staff has been aware of this for a long time. But what it does do, I think it shows that we have a lot of confidence in him, and he's closer to being ready to be a head coach. Which I think he'll be a tremendous one. I think he's a star in the profession, and our other staff members think the same thing.
On the topic of the coaching staff, adding Tony Bland, what made him an attractive candidate, and what have you liked about what he's brought to the staff so far?
Well, he's got great energy. He's ridiculously positive, and he knows everybody. The other thing is, when you talk to people, and you know, okay, who's the best out there? Who's the best in this situation? You study people, you talk to other people. Well, who would you respect? Who would you fear if they're in the gym, thinking that would be someone that'd be hard to beat or whatever? Uh, uh, I think that he is as respected by the people I talk to as anybody in the country. There's some guys out there that are very effective, and we've had our fair share here. But I thought when Norm decided to retire, I thought I'm sorry, when Chase decided to go to the Nuggets. Obviously, when Norm decided to retire, we hired Jock. But when Chase decided to go to the Nuggets, I thought there was an opportunity for us to get better in what we needed. We just hired an NBA head coach to go along with Dooley, who's been a head coach, to go along. Curtis been in the game forever. He's gone along with Jeremy, who has a fabulous basketball mind. I was thinking, you know what? God dang, who can we get out there that would actually fit the recruiting model more than anything? And then you get that plus the coach. Tony was a damn good player. If you guys remember. Playing for Syracuse and for San Diego State. He's been in the business forever, and he's had some highs, and he's had obviously some not so highs, which I thought was even more attractive because he's a guy that's out there to show everybody what he's capable of.
You spoke highly of Smeese over the course of the summer. What's the next step look like for him during the preseason, and what are your hopes for him during the year?
Well, Samis he's a great prospect. But right now, he's probably a better prospect than he is player, just because he's long, run, jump, explosive, quick twitch, all the stuff. But I will say this: the drill work and everything has to be translated to the game, and he just needs to play. Even last year, he's hurt almost the whole year, didn't play, or play much. So he just needs reps to me, and that will determine what his role will be probably this year as much as anything.
Bill, you've had a few rounds with the portal, and I wonder, I'm thinking Trey White here a little bit. Do you find that the guys that have been to multiple stops when they get to a certain age is their game any different than maybe a guy you've had for 3 years in your program? Are you seeing any of that, or is that too early to tell?
It's probably. I think every person's different. Melvin's been in Count JUCO. This is his fourth program, and Trey's been in obviously 3 others. So this is his fourth. He got Jaden that's been in 1, and then you had AJ that had been in 3. We were his 4th, and he got Rylan that had been in 1. Nick had been in 1. There's Remy had been in 1. So who knows? I think the thing with Trey that makes him so attractive is his IQ is really high, and so he can take what he's learned from everybody, and he's been well coached, is learned from everybody, and not disregard it, but utilize that in a way of what we're trying to do things, as opposed to some. It's like, okay, forget about everything you've ever been taught. We do things different. Then I think when you like with Trey, he'd say, we do it different, but we massage it, but still principles are the same, and this, and this. So I think he'll benefit from playing for other, playing for Danny, obviously, and Kenny, but Danny a lot at Louisville, and Andy at USC, and then of course Brad, tougher, harder, faster. Those are things that translate anywhere. So I think it'll be pretty much a seamless transition for him. Did you guys talk to Trey?
Yeah.
I don't know if he told you the same
No,
thing.
he loves it.
Yeah,
exactly.
he feels comfortable. So
When you have a player like Darren, do you have to coach him differently at all when he's come in with, you talk about his IQ, do you have to coach him differently at all?
you know what? I don't know if you have to. I think the tendency is sometimes you do. And I think if you do coach him differently, you're doing him a disservice. So I'm trying not to. I'm trying to coach him where the expectations are the exact same as what it would be for anybody else, and he's been great as far as accepting the responsibility and all, because he wants to be great, he wants to be good, but he needs to be told, just like everybody does, is what makes him good here and what translates to the next level, and but he's still 18 years old, so even though he's got a mature game and the game's in slow motion, he's still just a kid that's still got to go through his ups and downs and figure it out. But you know, he's obviously got a chance to have a special year.
I don't want to say this right. As a coach, can you gauge? This relates to Darren Peterson? Different levels of competitiveness and work ethic. He just seems like he's on almost a business-like approach, just a different level. Is that?
I think he is. I think he is on a business approach. Get better. We got to get better. All those things. But I will say this: how many freshmen out there? You know, maybe Cooper last year to an extent, but you still have these. He's still a kid, even though you know he comes in with a lot of hype, and the hype is real. But still, yet he's still going to have dips. I mean, how many rookies of the year in the NBA have still do this? And even though I would think Cooper last year at Duke. I mean, I wasn't there, but I would still think he had this, especially early. He's going to go through that, but that doesn't mean that their approach isn't right. His approach is right. He's got to get more consistent with some things that he's never been told is important, like moving without the ball, being harder to guard when you don't have the ball, things like that, because people will take that away now that haven't been able to take it away in high school. So I mean, there's still a lot of things he's got to learn, but he's a willing learner, no doubt about it.
Now that you've had him for a couple months, what does G provide in terms of the experience in the locker room element?
I think everybody likes G, but his value is in practice.
Yeah.
We in large part wanted him. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to play, but we in large part wanted him because we thought he could be a little guy that could play underneath Darren and half-court offense and stuff like that, because there'll be plenty of possessions where he's being guarded by a bigger guard. But now we wanted to have many possessions where it's guarded by a guy that could play underneath him. So, his value in many ways is making sure that the other guy is ready to go.
Really sorry, just to circle back to Jeremy, with this promotion, is any part of that thinking about the future of Kansas basketball,
No.
or are you just thinking about his career?
Think about his career. Yeah. You guys. I mean, I guess it's fair and all that stuff, but there's been no coaching move that's transpired that is based on anything. How does it make Kansas better today? So.
Marco said that the players are calling Cole Steve Rogers, aka Captain America. What's your reaction to that? And why do you think that they're calling him that?
First of all, Steve Rogers was a pitcher for the Montreal Expos way back in the day. Isn't that right, Brian? I mean, so I don't even know who Steve Rogers, Captain America. So I assume that means All-American type kid. Does that mean?
Like Captain America, like the superhero.
Oh, he's a superhero. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I wouldn't quite go that far yet, but I think there's some things about him that you'll find very pleasantly surprising. Like, you're not going to believe how bouncy he is. He can really shoot the ball, and he's streaky, but he's hungry to shoot it. But he's getting better, more consistent all the time, and he tries so hard in that he can't get tired. He just doesn't get tired. If that makes him a superhero, then AKA Steve Rogers, then I would call him the same thing. Then probably.
You've been around a long time. Have you ever seen anybody have a rise that like you had this summer? I think you went from like a 3-star, and the next thing you know, every program in the country was wanting him. What do you think allowed him to do that? And have you ever seen that before?
Well, he tries really hard. He was playing for CP3 in the summertime, which obviously gets great exposure, and they play in the big deals. And whenever Chris Paul is coaching you, there's more eyes on those games naturally and stuff like that. And deservedly so. And he played with other good players on his team. But guys, he was rated a lot higher than Ochai was. And Ochai's first team AP All-American. I mean, these things happen. Now, has he had a meteoric rise in a short amount of time? I guess you could say that. But the reality of it is, I think that people that knew his game and been around him knew that potential was always there. So I don't know if it surprised him. May surprise others, but not himself, probably.
And you've said before, bringing in freshmen is maybe a little easier kind of to coach, just because they don't know anything. You kind of
They don't know what they don't know. I mean,
have you done a lot more teaching this leading up to this season, and have you kind of enjoyed that maybe?
I don't know that we've done a lot more teaching, but I do think there's been maybe less steps skipped. When you have Hunter and KJ and Juan, it becomes pretty boring if you work on the same things that we worked on the first day when they were freshmen, although Hunt wasn't here, but obviously the other two. So maybe this year, with only Flory being really, Flory's our vet coming back, and he's a sophomore. So to that point, I hadn't really thought about it, but I'd say we probably skipped and not rushed through as many steps last year trying to get to meat and potatoes. So, we're at the point of meat and potatoes now, but it's still much more detailed than probably what it was before. Yeah, that's a good question.
What do you think of Friday's late night being a month into the season? Will it be a different kind of scrimmage?
No, it'll be the same thing. We'll do the same things. We've done it actually like this, Gary, as you know, for the last 3 or 4 years, in large part because of USA Basketball. Because USA Basketball has their weekend, and you want to bring recruits in, you don't want to do it at the same time. So we tried to stay away from that. But it's obviously a big recruiting deal, but it's not as big, I don't think, in many ways as what it has been in the past. It's a good weekend, but it's not like it's the it seemed like in the past we had one recruiting weekend to really bring guys in and showcase our place. And now the energy at the football stadium and all that other stuff going on, now I feel like it's not so important to have it all that one weekend. So I think we got one guy coming in officially this weekend, and that's it. But God, we've also had 4 already make decisions. So so that's where we're at too, and that may be why.
What do you think of the absence of a rapper?
You know what? I've actually laid awake sleepless many nights, worrying about, Little John or 2 Chainz or who else has been here. Flo Rida, Lil Yachty. We've had some good guys that have gone on and even had, I think late night survived, 30 years without having a rapper. So, but we're having dueling DJs, which to me is even better, because if no matter what genre you like, or what is a hip thing to play, you're actually going to get that. So I think it'll be a fun night.
I was wondering how Tiller and Marco came back from their injuries. Are they doing well?
Yeah, they're both 100%. Marco's remarkable. His commitment to get back off of patellar tendon is he's been a perfect patient, so to speak. From what they tell me, his commitment to the rehab has been second to none. Going back to a Brandon Rush type coming back from his ACL, and he's fine. He just needs, and he's actually looking great athletically. And Bryson, I haven't seen any side effects or ill effects of his situation either.
And what do you think of tourney expansion?
What, 68 to 76? Is that what you're talking about? I would say my initial hunch would probably be no. But I thought it was no when we went from 48 to 54, and then no when you go from 54 to 64, and then no when you go from 64 to 68, all that stuff. The one thing I would say is going to 76, if I'm not mistaken, is basically adding 4 more games to the Dayton type setup, if I'm not mistaken. So now it's Tuesday game for a Thursday game, or a Wednesday game for a Friday game, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if that's the most positive thing, but as long as the Masters is with CBS and the tournament is with CBS, you've got to squeeze everything into that three weekend window, and I actually I have no answers, but my initial gut is I think we're okay at 68.
Coach, I wanted to ask about Guy. How does a guy like that even get on your radar? There's obviously not been a ton of recruits transferring directly from Canadian universities. There's been high school recruits.
It was primarily through agents. We had said all along we need to find somebody that could be a ball handler and hopefully make an open shot and create some pace. So it was late in the process, and we through agents we found this guy out. And I love his personality. I think he's terrific. And he wants to be here, and he had opportunities to go to other places, probably have a bigger role. But he knows the time and score. He knows the situation, and he can be a nice piece for what we need, and he can also be an insurance policy, so to speak. And that's what he came here for, to be a part of Kansas. And so I'm really happy that he's here.
And then how do you think Melvin's sort of experience, where he's played a lot of college ball so far, will really help the team?
Well, I think Melvin's going to be hard to beat out. I'm not saying he won't be, but he's going to be hard to beat out. He's been good. He's got pace. He needs to get comfortable with me, which I think he's getting more comfortable. But I like it. He and Omarco athletically are about. That's about as athletic and as quick twitch as you're going to find. So and they're both long. So I see him being hopefully an elite defender. And I see he and Marco mirroring each other, and I envision Darren and Melvin and Omarco sharing that 80 minutes, if that makes sense to you. So I'm not saying somebody else can't butt over there some, but those 3 guys have got to play.
All right, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.
Thanks.